There is a moment before the punch, before the crowd, before the belts, the titles, the noise. A moment where power reveals what it truly is. Canelo Álvarez stands as one of the most disciplined boxers of the modern era. Precise, controlled, relentless. A man shaped by structure, repetition, and certainty. But if Bruce Lee were standing here today, what would he see? Not a matchup, not a challenge, but a question. Bruce Lee never measured fighters by size, records, or reputation. He measured them by freedom. Freedom of movement, freedom of mind, freedom from the prison of one single way. He believed that mastery, when held too tightly, becomes a limitation. That technique, when worshipped, can become a cage. So what would Bruce Lee think of Canelo Álvarez? Would he admire the discipline? Question the rigidity? See brilliance and warning at the same time? This is not about who would win. This is about what remains when certainty is tested. Because true power begins long before the fight ever starts. Bruce Lee would not be impressed by muscle. He would notice it, the density, the power, the deliberate way Canelo Álvarez occupies space. But admiration would not come from appearance. Bruce never mistook presence for understanding. If Bruce Lee observed Canelo, the first thing he would recognize is discipline. Not the loud discipline of motivation speeches or public bravado, but the quiet discipline of repetition, the kind that reshapes the nervous system over decades. Canelo is not a chaotic fighter. He is a cultivated one. Every movement is weighted. Every step is measured. Every punch is delivered with intention, not desperation. Bruce Lee would respect that deeply. Bruce believed mastery was built through honest repetition, not shortcuts. He might see in Canelo a man who accepted structure early, surrendered to it, and then refined himself within its walls. But Bruce would keep watching. He would observe how Canelo absorbs pressure, how he does not panic, how he remains composed even when exchanges become violent, how he does not chase chaos, he contains it. Bruce would recognize this as emotional stability under fire, a rare trait. Yet Bruce would also see something else. Canelo thrives in systems. Weight classes, rounds, strategic pacing, predictable rhythms enforced by the rules of boxing. Bruce Lee was never opposed to systems, but he believed that systems should be used, not inhabited. Bruce might think, this man has mastered the house, but has he prepared himself for the storm outside? Because Bruce viewed combat as an unpredictable dialogue. Canelo's style is grounded in counterpunching, allowing the opponent to commit first, then capitalizing. This requires patience, vision, and trust in structure. Bruce would admire the patience, but he might question the dependence. Bruce believed that over-identification with any single method eventually creates blind spots. Not because the method is weak, but because reality does not respect specialization. Bruce might reflect that Canelo's power comes from rootedness, from being planted, from generating force through the earth. But Bruce also believed that the moment you become too rooted, you risk becoming predictable. Water, after all, does not plant itself. It flows. Bruce might see Canelo as a mountain, stable, imposing, immovable. And Bruce respected mountains. But Bruce trained to become the river that slowly reshapes them. Not through impact, but through time. Bruce Lee would not doubt Canelo's courage. He would not doubt his toughness. He would doubt whether Canelo still questions himself. Because Bruce believed the most dangerous thing a warrior can lose is curiosity. Bruce constantly dismantled his own beliefs. He broke forms he had mastered, abandoned techniques that once defined him, rejected systems that no longer served his evolution. If Bruce studied Canelo closely, he might wonder, is this man still becoming, or has he perfected what he already is? Canelo's greatness comes from refinement. Bruce's greatness came from reinvention. Neither is wrong, but they're different paths. Bruce might say that Canelo represents perfection inside the known, while Bruce himself chased freedom inside the unknown. Bruce would admire Canelo's ability to endure pressure without emotional collapse. But he would question whether Canelo seeks discomfort when comfort becomes dominant. Because Bruce believed growth lives beyond stability. You might say, the opponent you understand will teach you nothing new. Bruce Lee would not criticize Canelo. He would challenge the idea that mastery is static. Because in Bruce's philosophy, mastery is not a destination. It is a moving horizon. Canelo is exceptional at controlling exchanges. Bruce believed true mastery lies in dissolving them. If Bruce could speak directly to Canelo, he would not speak of punches or footwork. He would ask, "Who are you when your strengths no longer apply?" That question is not about boxing. It is about life. Because eventually, every structure fades. Youth, timing, physical dominance, reputation. Bruce trained not to preserve strength, but to remain adaptable when strength fades. Bruce Lee might conclude that Canelo is one of the most disciplined fighters of his generation. But discipline, without constant self-negation, can become a prison. Bruce did not seek security. He sought truth. And truth, in Bruce's eyes, was found where certainty dissolves. Canelo fights with control. Bruce lived in transformation. And in that contrast lies the lesson. The fight is not between men. It is between comfort and evolution, between refining what works and abandoning it before it defines you. Bruce Lee would respect Canelo Álvarez, but he would remind him, and us, that the ultimate opponent is not the man across from you. It is the version of yourself that no longer wants to change. Canelo Álvarez represents one of the most refined systems ever built inside a ring. If Bruce Lee were observing him in silence, would he see ultimate mastery, or a system reaching its ceiling? Is perfection the goal, or is adaptability the real path to freedom? Share your perspective in the comments. Follow Bruce Lee, beyond the fight where combat reveals the architecture of the mind. True power begins before the fight.